enjoy the Knack.
That's not the
Great
Knack,
band.
Greg.
All right, so a new study reveals that academia is biased against conservatives, to which I add, duh. But here's what's new. Up to a third of the professors said they would discriminate against conservatives in both hiring and grant proposals. So they're now openly admitting that rather than resist bias, they are governed by it, which is why we're governed by it now. Think about it. We are ruled and cajoled by what we've been told are the best and the brightest in media and in government. They're all products of places like Harvard and Columbia, so they can't possibly screw up until you realize there's no way they can know they screw up, since their training ground weeded out any opposition or competition. And that's how we got the most progressive president ever during a pretty rough time. He satisfied all the requirements, ticking every left-wing box. And minus an opposing view, no one points out when an idea is nonsense of the Krugman magnitude. And so that nonsense becomes reality. Fact is, the left always fails when no righty is around to save them. The media response, they like the arrangement. When you look at who's doing the governing and the reporting, they're all ladled from the same pot. Generous helpings of the same spoiled meat. It's no wonder we're sick to our stomachs.
But,
thank you. Juan, I want to go to Juan first.
Because you got sick to his stomach?
Yes, because you... yes. I told you, never buy fruit off the street, Juan.
Well, I didn't know. Look, I'm such a silly person. I figured New York has all these food carts now, right?
Yes,
so I figure there must be food safety standards.
But that wasn't a food cart that you bought it from. It was a man holding.
What was it? Was Eric dressed up and selling fruit shakes?
I wasn't even there. I missed all the fireworks.
No, you have kids who are Republicans, right? Did I just out them?
Well, it's true.
Yes. So do you? I mean. It's kind of an oddity. You've got a liberal parent and conservative kids.
Well, I don't know how liberal, but yeah, I mean, and in fact, Rafi, my youngest, who's now working to get one of your Republican pals reelected, when he went to the college that I went to, he actually quit some classes because he said he's just sick of these professors who would not treat conservative arguments honestly.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I don't like the idea that you would back off because I think you should engage the argument, force the conversation. But in this study, what it said was that people who were doing the hiring, who were looking at grant proposals, literally would exercise bias against conservatives. And what does that mean to me? It means that the quality of their work is less if you're talking about something that has political content.
So therefore, can we apply the same argument to the media?
Sure.
Well, they exercise bias, so it has much
yeah, but
lower quality.
you think it's bias pro-Obama in
Or
every
don't
case.
you?
No, what I think is it's bias.
Well, you admitted it in the A block that there is a liberal bias in the media.
No, well, I think there's a liberal bias to this extent. Most reporters are Democrats, if that's what you're asking me. But most ownership
of
big newspapers.
How is that any different than academia being biased?
No, is your plumber a Democrat or Republican? I don't care what he is. I just want to come in and fix the plumbing. Most reporters are professionals. They'll tell you a story.
Yeah, but no one's looking to my toilet seat for any kind of political reporting.
No, but I'm saying.
I don't know where that came from.
You knew that was.
I mean, your plumber comes in and fixes your toilet. The media has a duty to report the facts
And
if they're impartial journalists.
Look, I think, in fact, the problem is they report facts as if they're all equal, and sometimes people say crazy things, and they make it out like, oh, yeah, we got to tell you this, too. But, in fact, it's just not sensible.
I actually just thought of a better comparison between plumbers and the media, but I'm not going to say it on air because it's gross.
All right.
I think one of the things about this is that this is why in academia and in some cases the media, partly because, as Chuck Todd of NBC Today said, geographical bias, where people are concentrated. This is why the academia couldn't understand the Tea Party. Right? Initially, they were racist and they were this, that, and the other thing. And because they're not willing to hire people who might have a different view from them, they're not enriched with a lot of different thought. And so then something new comes along and their conventional wisdom is wrong. I think it's wrong on Ryan in particular. I think they've got this election wrong.
Which is why they embraced Occupy Wall Street.
Exactly,
because that was more in line with their assumptions.
More in line with their assumption. Also more in line with... What?
I said I just brought everybody together.
Yes, you did. All right, we can go.
No, but let me just say, on this Occupy Wall Street thing, this isn't another example where I think everybody says, oh, well, this is what it means to have one side and the other, when in fact, you know, we do have a wealth inequality in this country. People wonder why Wall Street gets bailed out. But somehow, then it's, oh, yeah, we'll just...
But that's a legitimate concern.
But that's a major trend in our society today, that the rich are getting richer.
But you don't want Occupy Wall Street representing that concern, because by the time that movement was done, it resembled a different movement.
By the way, you going down to the convention?
Of course.
Because you're going to see that movement ain't done.
We got to go, but Juan, you know where there's...
It looks like a movement.
Where the widest...
Back to your plumbing analogy.
You know where the widest income inequality gap is?
Well, tell me, my friend.
Communist countries. By far, much farther, much wider than capitalist countries.
I think our middle class now is smaller than the one in China, which is just incredible to me.
All right.
They're yelling at us.
That's a debate for another time. Coming up, kids...